Harry was back on British soil with his tail firmly between his legs as he attended his father's historic coronation on Saturday in a whistle-stop 28-hour visit in which he reportedly spoke to neither his father nor his brother. So after destroying his relationship with the royal family through a string of bombshell accusations in his memoir, Spare, you may have expected the Duke of Delusion to be on his best behaviour, but the trained lip reader Jeremy Freeman says he's worked out some of the Montecito moaners' mushrooms ahead of the ceremony, with Harry seen to complain to Jack Brooksbank, quote, "I'm fed up with the way they treat me." Now, whether he's referring to the media or the royal family, I'm sure the feeling is mutual, mate. Sadly, the King, though, clearly missing his two stateside grandchildren, who he has been cruelly denied a relationship with, as the Daily Mail reported that he made a point of toasting, quote, those that weren't there, while emotionally wishing his four-year-old grandson, Archie, a very happy birthday, quote, wherever he was. That was during a post-coronation drinks reception at Buckingham Palace that the dismissive Harry was invited to, but chose not to attend. So with me in the studio now, Harry's biographer, Angela Levin. So, Angela, was this a rock-bottom moment for Harry? Because I thought he looked so cocky and arrogant walking into that abbey. He was glaring at his brother from across the room. And then he doesn't even bother to stay to speak to his dad
congratulations,
at lunch.
yes.
New low?
I thought it was a new low, but I thought it was a new low in confidence. I think he found it incredibly difficult to walk down that aisle.
So you think it was a facade because he looked arrogant outwardly?
I think he does. Well, when I was with him, you know, he does that as a protection.
Got it.
Thing, that he pretends he's all cocky, knows it all, but actually he's crying inside. I think it was a very awful event for him because he was all alone. So not only was he not a spare, he wasn't anywhere. And I actually felt sorry for him because
walking into the Abbey, right, he did not get a warm reception. You could see there were a couple of smiles, but the vast majority of folk looked at him and grimaced.
Looked away, because he kept saying, good morning, good morning. But I was thinking, who's he saying it to? But nobody was answering him. It was just an automatic thing to make him look as if he felt at home. And I think that with his cousins all with their partners now, and there he was at the back, alone, I thought it was really sad that Meghan couldn't actually overcome her feelings. And although I didn't want her there, I felt that he needed it. He's very vulnerable and he has got these mental health issues. And it was very difficult for him. But on the other hand, he didn't look at his father as he came down the aisle. He didn't look. He just kept his face in a different direction. He gave William a huge grimace because he's full of jealousy.
And he could barely even sing the words to the national anthem.
No, he just did one line, didn't he? He did one line and then shut up.
And at the late Queen's funeral, he couldn't sing God Save the Queen. He loved God Save the King.
And when the Archbishop of Canterbury said, God Save the King, and everybody called that out, the camera went on to him. He didn't do it. So he wanted to be there, but he didn't want to be there.
Will he
Very
ever
difficult.
attend an official royal event again?
I don't think so. I think it would make it too difficult for him. And he's just, he's scarpered away. He couldn't wait to go because of the embarrassment. I think there's a gene there still in him that makes him long to have all this from the royal family and tears at his heart, but he's not allowed to have it now. He can't do it because he's come away and Meghan wouldn't want him to. And the whole nonsense of getting back for Archie's birthday, he got home at 8 o'clock in the evening. Have you ever had a 4-year-old who's got a birthday party at 8 o'clock? They'd be exhausted from all the excitement of presents and everything. And so you see that the day could not be put one day later. And I think there's no need to come back anymore. I mean, the royal family now know how to deal with him, which is to ignore him. You know, he's came over here. Yes, he came over here hoping to see...
But he's still sitting in that abbey moaning. Could
Yes.
you believe that? He couldn't even stop his moaning for half an hour before his dad arrived for his coronation.
Yeah, this is a desperate man, isn't it? It's a desperate man who actually has believed from the start that if he shouted enough, he said enough nasty things about him, they would... make sure that he was all right and apologise. But they're not going to do that. And I don't think he's still not realised that. Why should they? They're not going to sit down and go through 300 complaints of his and apologise, and then the next person's coming in and they're going to apologise. He's had it. I mean, his behaviour has been so extreme that they're not bothering anymore. And I think he missed the most extraordinary event. Absolutely extraordinary. But nobody cared whether he was there or not,
Angela,
actually.
I have to ask you, because do you remember at the Queen's funeral it was a candlestick that seemed to block
and this was Princess Anne's.
Yes, the flue of her red hat. Now, that wasn't a coincidence, was it? Because she was placed directly in front of Harry.
Yes. Well, it could have been someone doing that tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's too unusual to think that it didn't really, it was a coincidence. I think perhaps they did that so that, he wasn't actually fully seen, and that
it must have blocked his view as well.
And the cameraman couldn't take it.
And then you also have Meghan Markle out making a public appearance, hiking with friends the day after the coronation. Now, there just happened to be a whole load of cameras following her around.
Well,
Was this a coincidence?
Obviously, she asked them to come.
Do you think?
But why she was doing this, I'm so happy, I'm free, I'm having a very good time. She was going to spend the day with Archie. Why wasn't she with Archie? It was his birthday. Where was the little boy? I mean, I think the irony and the hypocrisy of that showed very much. And she couldn't beat an event like the ceremony we saw. And yet she's there thinking that she can in a dirty old black top and trousers, and she thinks she can overcome it by looking amazingly happy. It was as phony as you could be, I thought.